Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties, Chapter 11.
So Fan Jianwei, he's on what sounds like an almost impossible mission. He knows his friend, Qin Shubao, has fallen on hard times. He's been separated from him for months now.
Right.
He starts way over in Shandong, travels all the way to Luzhou, just determined to find him in this bitter cold. And his first stop is this place, the Wing Shower Inn.
And right away, that's where the anxiety kind of kicks in. He finds the innkeeper's wife, Lu Shi. She confirms, yes, Qin Shubao was here.
Okay, good start. But
she tells Fan that Qin left weeks ago, way back on the 1st of the 10th month. And here's the crucial detail, the first real sign of Qin's distress.
Yeah.
He'd been forced to sell his only horse just to scrape together money for the road.
Oh, wow. Just that one detail. That's devastating.
It is. Fan immediately realizes how bad things must be for Qin. The source says he just breaks down weeping, terrified his friend is lost or in deep distress.
You can picture it, can't you? A friend, totally alone, broke, selling his transport, heading out into the cold with nothing.
And Fan's thinking, it's been 2 months. Has Qin died from exposure, starvation? It's a terrible moment for him.
And then the environment itself just piles on. Fan Jianwei leaves the inn, and the sky just opens up.
Yeah, the sources describe this massive, debilitating snowstorm. And it's really important. This isn't just atmosphere. This is nature itself pressing down on him.
It seems like this weather just seals off every other option. The snow was like invading his neck and ears, the cold so bad he could barely open his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The language they use is amazing. The storm was pressuring the green hills until they lose color.
Mm-hmm.
It paints this picture of just utter misery, especially for anyone poor and trying to travel.
But that misery, ironically, kind of saves the situation. Because the storm and the darkness, they get so overwhelming, Fan physically cannot keep going on the main road. He's forced to look for shelter.
Which brings him right to the East Yu Temple.
Exactly.
And this feels like, fate intervening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The sources specifically point out this is the exact temple where Qin Shubao had been sick just before.
It's incredible plotting. If it hadn't been for that blizzard, that sheer violence of the storm, Fan would have probably just pushed on down the road and completely missed his chance.
So he gets to the temple, and the abbot, Wei Guanzu, sees him.
And the tension just immediately breaks. The abbot's welcoming, and then to Fan's total disbelief, he recognizes his name instantly. He says, "Brother Shubao mentioned your name."
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. It's the thread Fan was desperately searching for, pulled taut by the snowstorm.
So the abbot acting like the perfect narrative guide here.
Right. He lays it all out.
He gives them the full story.
Yes. Yeah. He confirms Qin had been seriously ill there, starting around October 2nd. But then comes the huge relief Fan needs to hear. On the 15th of that 10th month, Shan Xiangsun. He's
a well-known local hero, right?
Right.
From the Second Worthies Manor.
The very one. Shan rescued Qin and took him home to his manor to recover, and the abbot confirms Qin got better by the 15th of the 11th month, and he's actually still there, safe at the manor.
Okay, so the relief for Fan Jianwei must have been immense.
Oh, it's one of the most powerful emotional shifts in the whole story, that terror and despair he felt. Completely wiped out. The narrative uses these incredible analogies to capture his joy.
It's not just relief, it's like pure euphoria described there. He feels like a poor scholar finding 1,000 tales of gold.
Right, or a caged tiger suddenly sprouting wings.
Or even a farmer suffering a terrible drought finally getting heavy rain. It's total vindication for everything he went through.
Exactly. And what this really shows, I think, is how these traditional narratives often use fate or external forces like that storm to reward virtue. Fan's moral commitment, his loyalty to his friend, it guides him right to the information he needs.
Which then leads him straight to the manor. And he finds Qin Shubao there with Shan Jiangsun, just relaxing and enjoying this snow scene.
A happy reunion. But Fan still has that difficult news to deliver. He gives Qin the letter and the money from his mother, who is ill.
And this is what brings us right to the core of the debate, doesn't it?
Directly to it. Qin Shubao reads the letter, and the text says he reads it through tears. Understandably right.
Of course.
And driven by that immediate, very powerful emotion, he just announces he's leaving right then and there, immediately, in the middle of the heavy snow, to rush home.
And that's the moment Shan Xiangsun steps in.
He steps in, and very subtly, but also very firmly, he challenges him.
This is where we get that really fascinating philosophical point. Shan smiles, apparently, and says, "Great filial piety is true, minor filial piety is false. Da Xiaowei Zanxin Xiaowei Jink.
That line, that is the absolute anchor point for this whole section of the source. Sean is basically saying that this immediate, emotionally driven desire to rush to his sick mother, that's just minor filial piety.
Minor, even false filial piety.
Or false, exactly. Because in Sean's view, it's merely satisfying emotion. Chunking Yi.
Hold on, that sounds harsh. Why would the immediate, what feels like the right emotional action rushing to your sick mother, why would that be labeled false? What could possibly be more important than that?
Well, it's not about ignoring the mother's plight at all. It's about strategic duty. Sean's argument is very logical, very focused on long-term sustainability. He lays out 3 key points.
Okay.
The first, and probably the most immediate, is the risk to Qin's own health. You're newly recovered, Sean points out. Qiong sing you.
Right, so traveling in that blizzard could cause a relapse or worse.
Exactly. The risk of death is real.
But why is that more important than his mother's immediate comfort or need?
Because the consequence in this classical context is seen as utterly catastrophic. Sean warns that if Qin gets sick again, or if, anything happens to him, Wan Yu Sen Chong Ling Deng, it would mean cutting off the Qin lineage. Wei Qin Xiziao.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about Qin's individual life.
Not at all. It's about the potential obliteration of the entire ancestral line, and that is considered the highest, the most profound duty a son has.
So rushing home and potentially dying on the road satisfies that immediate feeling, but it sacrifices the whole future of the family name.
Precisely. That immediate action serves emotion, but fails the lineage, which is why Sean calls it minor or false.
Okay, that clarifies the great filial piety idea. It's defined by preserving the lineage, almost like a cold calculation of long-term responsibility versus short-term feeling.
It is calculated, yes, and that leads right into Sean's second point. Qin's duty to his deceased father and the family reputation.
His father. He was a loyal general, wasn't he? Died when Northern Qi fell.
Correct. So Sean argues Qin must preserve himself for future use, Bio Shan Dai Yang, so that eventually he can become a hero himself and glorify his father's former feats. Ke Guang Qin Liang.
So staying safe, getting fully healthy, that's actually strategic preparation for fulfilling an even higher duty down the line, restoring the family's honor.
Yes, it's a kind of deferred duty to his father, which ultimately serves his mother and the entire lineage more effectively than rushing off impulsively.
Because if he dies now,
he fulfills neither duty, not the immediate emotional one, nor the long-term generational one to his father's legacy. Sean sums it up by saying true filial piety requires prudence, zhengzaoe buzheng, the path of the gentleman, the sustainable route, not the emotional shortcut.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense when you lay it out like that. Shan Chengzan's isn't being heartless at all. He's redefining filial piety as the most responsible, sustainable way to actually love and honor the family.
The most loving action is the one that ensures the best long-term outcome for everyone, especially the lineage.
And Qin, he's persuaded by this. The text says Shan's argument was reasoned and heartfelt, Sei Lang King Qi. Plus, it mentions Qian himself was actually secretly pretty scared about traveling in that deep cold.
Understandably. So once the philosophy is settled, Sean immediately pivots to the practical solution. And this is crucial. He shows that his concept of great filial piety isn't just talk. It requires action.
Right. What's the plan?
Qian agrees to write a return letter. He'll explain the delay, citing his recent illness, and Sean's strong advice that he wait until the warm spring, Lai Chung Ri Num Feng He. Sean reassures him, a wise mother will absolutely prioritize her son's health.
And crucially, Sean makes sure Qin's mother has no reason to worry financially or suffer while waiting. He handles the material support side perfectly.
Absolutely essential. He sends 4 rolls of fine Luzhu silk and 30 taels of silver specifically for expenses for good food. Gan Zifei, ensuring she's comfortable and well cared for while Qin stays safe.
So the strategic plan includes looking after the parents' immediate welfare, too. It's comprehensive.
It demonstrates that true duty covers all the bases. And furthermore, Sean makes sure Fan Janewei, the loyal friend who made this whole thing possible, is properly rewarded. He gives him 2 rolls of silk and 10 taels of silver for his incredible effort.
That's fitting. And the logistics, they cover all the loose ends, too, right? Fan has more to do than just deliver the letter in silver.
Yes, 2 key tasks. First, obviously get the letter in support to Qin's mother. Second, he needs to resolve all of Qin's outstanding public affairs. Fan must take the military clearance forms the Pihui back to Qizu and complete the official paperwork. Zhu Shou Wan Le Yamen de Gongxi. Basically clear Qin's name officially.
That admin detail sounds minor, but it's actually pretty important, isn't it?
Very. It means Qin is completely free from his old obligations. He's clear of the law, clear of any official duties that might call him away too soon. He can just rest and fully recover at the manor until spring. No worries.
And then there's that final piece of advice Shan gives Qin. It really crystallizes this whole strategic view of duty.
It does. He advises Qin not to take up any official service or work back in Kizu, even once he finally gets home.
Why not? If he's home, isn't that okay?
Shan's thinking long-term again, because even if he serves locally at first, he might eventually get assigned duty far away, and then his mother would be left alone again, just leaning on the door and waiting anxiously. Igmin Xuanwang. And that, Shan concludes, is just not the proper path for a son serving his parents. Ren Sixin Qidao, even being nearby, isn't enough if it's unstable. True service requires lasting stability and safety for the parent.
The sources jump forward a bit here. Shubao turns up at the estate of his sworn brother, Shan Xiangxin.
Shubao picks up pretty quickly that Xiangxin is distracted. Trouble. His first thought is actually quite relatable, isn't it? That maybe Xiangxin's just feeling that, tired of having guests vibe. Yep. Social burnout.
Yeah, that's the initial guess. But it becomes clear very fast that it's much more serious than just needing some alone time. Xiangxin basically unloads two huge burdens he's carrying. First, there's this simmering anger about his brother, who was killed violently, shot dead, as the text says, a political wound that hasn't healed.
Okay, so that's a heavy political backdrop already.
Definitely. And second, he's deeply anxious about his wife's pregnancy.
The 11-month pregnancy, you read that detail and it just jumps out. 11 months. The stress must have been immense for them.
Absolutely unbearable. And sources show Shubao trying to help, be the supportive friend. He brings up that old idea, the folklore, that a long pregnancy means a great hero's on the way, a tiger cub. Trying to put a positive spin on it.
A classic attempt at reassurance.
But you can tell the tension is thick.
Yeah.
And it's this very personal domestic anxiety that kind of strangely opens the door to the wider political situation.
Yeah, speaking of unexpected arrivals, this is where that foreign monk just appears, right? Demanding food. The description of him is fantastic. Really paints a picture. Strange eyes, a nose like a hawk's claw.
Oh yeah, very striking. Clearly meant to signal he's an outsider, not from central China. His whole appearance is quite dramatic. And the detail I always find quite telling is his first demand. He refuses the usual vegetarian fare offered to monks. Flat out says, I don't eat vegetarian.
Oh, so Xiangxin has to scramble and find him beef and steamed buns, Momo. Talk about breaking convention.
Needs must, I suppose. But this monk isn't just a quirky side character. He's carrying news. Political intelligence, really.
He's traveling, right. Mentions going to Taiwan and then the capital?
Exactly. And he shares what he's hearing on the road. He says the current emperor is weary of governance, basically checked out. He's delegated power.
Delegated power. To who?
To the crown prince. And the monk doesn't mince words about him either. Describes him as frivolous and restless.
So the empire is basically in the hands of a bored kid. That's alarming.
It paints a picture of decay at the very top, doesn't it? And the monk adds another layer. He claims he's carrying important medicine specifically for this prince.
Important medicine for a frivolous prince while the emperor's neglecting his duties. Okay, the symbolism isn't subtle.
Not at all. And Shan Jiangxin, ever the practical one, hears medicine and immediately connects it back to his own pressing problem. He asks the monk, do you happen to have anything for inducing childbirth or regulating things?
A desperate but clever ask. Did the monk have anything?
He did. He gives Jiangxin this tiny pea-sized pill wrapped in yellow paper. But the medicine itself is almost secondary to the prophecy that comes with it, a conditional prophecy. It all depends on timing.
Okay, I remember this. Lay out the conditions again. It's such a great narrative hook.
Right. So the monk says, if the baby is born that very night, right around midnight, it will be a girl. But if the birth happens the next day, it will be a boy. The timing is everything.
So much pressure on that one little pill. And what happens?
The wife takes the medicine. And just as predicted, at midnight, she gives birth. It's a girl whom they name Alien. And apparently the room fills with the scent of lotus flowers. A bit magical.
Wow. Prophecy fulfilled, just like that. A personal miracle for Jiangxin?
A huge relief for him, definitely. But while Jiangxin is caught up in this family moment, Shubao's mind snaps right back to the monk's other news. The political stuff. The emperor shirking his duties. the restless crown prince.
He can't shake it, can he? The fact that even a random foreign traveler knows the Sui court is in trouble, that feels significant.
It really underscores the instability. But here's where you see the fundamental difference between the two sworn brothers. Xiongxin hears about potential chaos and sees opportunity.
Ah, right. He has that ambitious streak.
He basically says to Shubao, look, if things fall apart, this is our choice, brother. Our chance to finally make a name for ourselves, achieve something great. He's thinking about rising from the ashes.
A stark contrast to Shubao, who seems more burdened by the present.
Exactly. And that burden starts to weigh on Shubao. The sources jump forward a bit here to the new year. Shubao's been staying for months now.
And he's getting restless. All the feasting, being away from home.
Yeah, he's worn out by the constant hospitality, feels homesick, misses his mother, specifically mentioned.
Yeah.
And there's this sense of Shubao failing to achieve fame or make his mark. He feels stuck.
Like he's just a long-term guest imposing on his friend's generosity.
Precisely. He feels so awkward about Shikongzhen's overwhelming generosity that he actually tries to sneak away.
Seriously, he tries to leave without saying goodbye.
He does. He admits to the servants later that he just couldn't bring himself to ask Xiongxin for permission to leave because Xiongxin had been so incredibly generous. It's like the weight of gratitude was too much.
But Xiongxin finds out, right?
Oh, yeah. And this is where we see the sheer scale of Xiongxin's loyalty and planning. He hadn't just forgotten about Shubao wanting to leave. He'd been deliberately delaying Shubao's departure for months.
Delaying. Why?
To prepare an absolutely staggering farewell gift, he'd commissioned a custom-made gold saddle and harness for the horse, a famous horse, the Huangpiao Ma. And the craftsmanship took time. They literally only finished melting and shaping the gold on January 15th. That's why he kept putting Shubao off.
Wow. So all that time Shubao was feeling awkward and like a burden, Xiongxin was busy crafting this incredible personalized gift.
Exactly. The farewell banquet, when it finally happens, is just a showcase of generosity.
Okay, so what are the gifts? There are the obvious ones first.
Right, the visible stuff. 10 bolts of expensive colored silk, 4 complete sets of winter clothing, and 50 taels of silver for travel expenses, the panfei.
50 taels. Okay, that seems like a decent amount for the road.
It is. But the real insight, the thing that speaks volumes about Xiongxin's care for his friend, is the secret gift.
Ah, yes, the hidden part.
It's brilliant, really. Xiongxin gives him a whole new set of bedding, a quilt and covers. But sewn inside the lining of the quilt, hidden away, are flat bars or sheets of white silver. Basically melted down silver bullion stitched right in.
So, disguised treasure. Literally a hidden fortune in his bedroll.
It wasn't just travel money. It was like seed capital, a safety net, hidden from view. For this friend who felt awkward about accepting help, it's incredibly thoughtful.
An amazing gesture, but it comes with some advice, doesn't it? Some parting words.
Stern advice, actually. Xiongxin tells him point blank, don't seek glory by serving powerful officials. Stay independent. And their friend Wei Xuanzheng backs this up. He mentions meeting some wise hermit, and who predicted the Sui dynasty wouldn't last long, and said wise people should wait for the true ruler to emerge.
So politically, strategically, it's sound advice, isn't it? Lie low, wait for the chaos to settle, don't tie your fate to a falling dynasty.
Logically, yes, it's perfect advice, protects him physically and morally. But here's the kicker, the psychological twist that the sources really focus on. Shubao feels insulted.
Insulted by the advice or the gifts?
By the combination, it seems. He takes the advice, coupled with that visible 50 taels of silver, as pity. He feels like Xiongxin sees him as diminished, like a charity case. He thinks staying too long makes the person seem cheap.
Wait, hold on. He's got a custom gold saddle, a quilt stuffed with silver bullion, and he's hung up on the 50 taels of walking around money. How does that compute?
It doesn't, logically. And that's the genius of the source material's insight here. His pride is completely blinding him. He gets fixated on the 50 taels. He internally argues that someone of his standing needs hundreds of gold a year just for socializing and maintaining appearances. So 50 seems like pocket change for a pauper, confirming his fear that Johnson thinks he's broke.
So the sheer extravagance of the real gifts, the gold saddle, the hidden silver, it just doesn't register against his wounded pride about the visible cash amount.
Exactly. It's a fascinating look at how pride can distort perception. He feels cheapened, even amidst overwhelming generosity.
And this internal conflict, this mix of gratitude and resentment, is what leads to the next step, the actual disaster.
It sets the stage perfectly. He finally leaves, riding his magnificent horse with its gold saddle. He travels about 30, maybe 10 miles or so, and then he notices a problem. The very luggage containing that hidden fortune in the bedding, wasn't packed properly by Yangshin's servants. It's starting to drag.
Ugh, simple incompetence. Bad packing.
Just sloppy work. But for Shubao, who knows, perhaps subconsciously, how valuable that bedding really is, he can't risk it. He stops in this little village called Zailin Jujube Tree Grove. He decides he needs to repack everything himself properly the next morning to avoid losing anything.
A seemingly small, practical decision. Fixing someone else's mistake.
The most mundane decision. But the source explicitly calls this stop, this delay, Shubao's his bad luck, his ill-fated timing, and it states this decision leads directly to a great misfortune, a catastrophe, a hero's journey derailed by poorly tied baggage.
Wow, it all connects back, doesn't it?
Yeah. It really does. If you trace it, Qiong's extreme generosity feeds Shubao's insecurity. That wounded pride makes him focus on minor perceived slights and maybe distracts him. Then a simple logistical error, the bad packing, forces a delay. And that delay, stopping to fix the ropes in a time of looming political chaos, is precisely what puts him in the wrong place at the wrong time. The greatest act of friendship inadvertently becomes the catalyst for his downfall.